I always like to end our conversation with the artist by asking sort of a fun question, something that's less pointed about Don Giovanni, and then we'll take some questions from the audience. But my question for you today is, if you could be a character in opera in your real life, what character would you like to be? Any opera.
Wow. Any voice type or anything like that?
Yeah. If you want to be Violante, you can.
I don't want to be a tenor part, that's for sure. Sorry about that. You forget with Giovanni that one of the reasons it's so perfect that there's 5 baritones and then 1 tenor, you know. Because I love you. No, that's a really good question. I would say, I'm going to stick with my own voice. I would say Colline in La Boheme, because I think I kind of related to him the most. He's a philosopher and he's a poet in a lot of ways. And this whole idea of, and I hate to go off on an opera we're not doing, but the fact that they're so carefree and they're so fun, and just to be sort of locked in that place where I guess I still am, even though I'm older now, but where you take life every day for the moment and you just enjoy it, and whether you're playing with your friends or you're reading deep into philosophy and drinking a great bottle of wine, and I think I love that aspect of that character, and that's why whenever I do it, I've always related the most to him, and I've done that role a lot. And I'm doing the Don, you might say, oh, it'd be great to be, but no, that's not, not so much. And Leporello, no, I don't want seconds, so, so that's mine.
I would say I'm always trying to channel my inner Tatiana from Eugene Onegin. Her whole idea of love and what she learned about, Chris and I did Onegin together in St. Louis a couple of years ago. She's one of my favorite characters in all of opera, and I never want to be on stage again. And I leave that up to the professionals now, but I'm always trying to stay true to that kind of love of art and love and innocence, now that I'm so old and jaded.
Well, I guess, since you said Falstaff, it made me remember, I think I'd like to be Fenton, which is interesting, interesting enough. I also have a little special story about Fenton. It was the opera that I met my wife, and she was Nanetta at the time. So, I think I would like to stick with the whole Fenton idea. Because nobody dies, he falls in love, and he gets to stay in love. Nobody else is after Nanetta, so it's sort of one of those situations where it all works out, and I kind of like that whole all working out sometimes.
I don't really have much to say because all this sopranos just keep dying. I would love to say this is the kiss of Tosca and kill Scarpia. That would feel good for me. Maybe Helena in Midsummer Night's Dream. I don't know, because she goes through this long journey and ends up with the guy. Oh, that's a tough question.
Yeah, I think it's a really difficult question, because what makes opera roles exciting is that they're all pretty much tragically flawed. In order for people have said, only in opera you get stabbed and then sing an aria and then die. Because that's how things. I think Tatiana is a really great response. I don't know that Tatiana later in life is a great response, because she kind of goes away from. She was in love with Onegin even towards the end, and yet stays in her marriage. I suppose that's faithful and
Tatiana Act 1, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's great, but gosh, there is no good answer. And so I'll say maybe Cavaradossi in Tosca, because he's a noble guy. He's in love with Floria, and he's willing to take torture to save his friend, and overall that leads to his demise, and he's killed. But it's all about love, I suppose, and honor. So I'll say